And it looks like we made it, folks. It is Friday, January 20th, 2023. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is Things You Might Have Heard, things you might not have heard. Some things you may have heard, some things you might not have heard. And we welcome you to the show today. And what we're going to give for you in the next 12, 13 minutes are some of the top headlines that you basically said are top headlines. That's how we know they're actually the top. You vetted the stories by going through our feeds and telling us which stories were conversational. And then I basically curated them down to fit inside the narrative that is this here show. So thank you so much for doing most of the work for me. I will do the we'll take the credit and then butcher the stories in process. So thank you so much for giving me that time. Thank you so much for being a part of the show all week long and as long as we've been doing this. So we're going to give you lots of thanks on that one. I know I'm doing a lot of scrambling and we're running late, but because I don't have things in position, so I have to move things around. So that is why all the vamping is happening, not because I'm necessarily all that nice, because it is. So now that my script is actually in place, we're going to talk about Donald. Actually, not talking about Donald. I'm getting those guys confused. Alec Baldwin and some other folks going on, and 7 other news stories that you guys said were conversations. You guys said were top stories to talk about. So go to our website. This is a conversationproject.com to get more details about the other things we do. It saves us time and rambling in times like this. So let's ramble less and time more with stories and get into the first story for the morning. It headline reads, obviously, like this one. Alec Baldwin will be charged with involuntary manslaughter in Rust shooting death. Now, this came down kind of as a shock yesterday. In fact, what we're hearing from people speaking on behalf of Alec Baldwin this time is they didn't get a heads up that this was happening. And while another producer got a heads up and got a chance to plea in to go, of course, spill some beans on the situation, Alec Baldwin got no heads up that he was going to be charged. It was basically announced in the news, and then his lawyers were informed on that end. This is, of course, for involuntary manslaughter. It's a charge in the shooting death of Halnya Hutchins. I'm butchering that. I'm sorry. The film's armor is facing the same charge as well. The problem is there's a whole lot of things going on. It's sort of a back and forth between the armor and Alec Baldwin, where essentially we got some sort of prison game where if one of them flips on the other, it might seem better. The more that one is more responsible, the worse it is for the other one, or better is for the other one because one person has less liability. It's a lot less confusing than I'm saying, so just bear with me on this one. But this is something the Attorney General in New Mexico just sort of dropped on everybody. So it was a bombshell going yesterday, but they had all day to deal with this story because they've had years to deal with the story, months to deal with the story. Alec Baldwin sort of being defiant about saying it's not my responsibility. The armor saying everything was clear, and now we're going to see what happens when a sort of trial, when they start doing this and get prepared for trial. This story, a lot less choppy by me because it's pretty much simple and spread out. David Crosby dead. The Byrds and Crosby, Stills and Nash founder dies at 81. This was breaking news yesterday evening. Broke, I guess, around 7 o'clock Central Time or so when I first saw it popping up. Maybe a little bit earlier because they had prepared for Anderson Cooper's show to have a lot of things going on for David Crosby. They were able to pull a lot of clips and go from that when it passed. David Crosby, 81 years old, so it's one of those had a good run things. A man who had a bit of a troubled past, but his troubled past brought a lot of joy, a lot of love, and a lot of great music and art to the world. Very much big on telling folks about his addictions and the fights he had to get through his addictions. Of course, founding members of the Byrds, Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young, which people describe as essentially a volatile mix of people who are eventually going to blow up at some point anyway, and they basically did very often, but came together for great music and great times. Melissa Etheridge, who has a biological son from a sperm donation from David Crosby, gave respects. We learned things like the fact that David Crosby, was essentially responsible for Joni Mitchell hosting her at people's living rooms, just bringing her around to play guitar in front of folks. A big cross, a lot of stories for David Crosby yesterday, now passed at the age of 81. Move on to this one. Tom Brady's new girlfriend blames all of his Tampa Bay Buccaneers teammates for playoff loss. So this is something that is kind of a playbook out of Gisele Bunsen, because when the Bucs lost last time when they're in the Super Bowl, we found out that Giselle Brunson, who was still, I guess, sort of in love, or at least pretending to be in love with Tom Brady, blamed every single member of the team except for Tom Brady for them losing, because Tom Brady can't be a magical everything. Of course, she basically divorced him weeks after that. But there you go on that end. Tom Brady's new girlfriend, a lady named Veronica Rajak, who they put air quotes up for that, so no one's really confirmed this thing, is basically doing the same thing, saying that Tom Brady did all he could to win the game against the Cowboys this week, but none of the actual players really were up into it. So whether this is going to lead to the same result, we shall see coming forward. This is a story that's really been more than a few days old. We were honestly really late to post it. Well, turned that the wrong way. We were honestly really late to post it. And yeah, it's just all kind of morning. We were really late to post it, and when we posted it, it was actually in the range yesterday. We skipped it. We put it in today because we're having kind of a low energy day today. To be honest, I'm glad we don't have people watching live because it's kind of a low energy day today. We bounced that off to a newer story, which is more relevant to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady, if you will. Tampa Bay Buccaneers fire offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. They fired him after 4 seasons. 3 other assistant decided to retire. The Bucs are trying to do what they can, although they regressed essentially since their last Super Bowl. They've not done so well going forward. Of course, Brady retired and came back and joined back up with the folks that are there. Byron Leftwich is kind of a controversial figure, if you will. One of those back in the day when he was an actual quarterback on the NFL. Serviceable quarterbacks, it takes an awful lot to be a bad quarterback, and so there's that. But Byron Leftwich was able to do that. Put together a pretty good career, pretty good resume, and then as offensive coordinator, bouncing around a couple places, doing all he can, what he has. Although Tom Brady seems like a lot to have, even though Tom Brady is like 118 years old, he still had a great year and one of the top 5 quarterbacks of the season for the year. Unfortunately, the Bucs could not make everything work out well this year. It just has been one of those years, and trust me, I know what happens. I get it when it's one of those years. So let's get a little bit kinky for the next 2. Here's your warning. We're not exactly going explicit content, but we're going to just warn you right now. Now, though no kids actually watch this, these next 2 stories are a bit much, so bear with us. Husband of police officer who slept with 6 co-workers is staying with her. Deep breath. Pause for effect. Reading the story as the script is written. Officer Megan Hall, 26, of Las Vegas Police Station, had allegedly been engaging in sexual relations with 6 male officers. She was fired or suspended, but her husband, Jebediah Hall, still plans to stay by her side. An internal investigation was launched into Megan's alleged sexual misconduct with the officers. Several officers were terminated and others were suspended, which is what should have happened. Thank you so much for that part. According to allegations made during the investigations, Megan Hall had been, quote, engaging in a sexual relationship, unquote, with 6 police officers, 2 of whom were married to other partners. Police Chief Burrell Davis commented on the investigation and resulting terminations and suspensions, stating that the actions of a few do not represent the department as a whole and that the department has suffered sufficient staff to cover its patrol shifts. 6 people essentially not working because of what's those 6 people doing. The headline is the husband's gonna stick by his wife. Pause. Next story is a doozy. Pornstar Brandi Love is having her face detached. Now, before we go too crazy with that one, and we actually turn to the next slide, let's put this in perspective. While this does seem like a perfect matching of Pornhub and Face Off, it's not actually that. Brandi Love is having a drastic facelift to look her best. She is being compared to Kendra Lust, who said she'd love to shoot with her. So, and to keep up with Kendra Lust, she's having her face detached. It's an extremely detailed facelift that she's been holding off for a couple years because of COVID. She's 50 years old and it feels like she has to compete with the young ones. And so she's having this really, really, really extensive surgery happening. You can follow along if you want to or not. I thought it was just one of those things like, what do you mean face detached? I'm pretty sure it would gather some clicks. Number 2 story for the day is this one. Next story is going into people's bedrooms, literally, but it's also something that people want to care about. People care about as well. TJ Holmes and Amy Robach are to wed after divorce are finalized. Divorces are finalized. They're both currently married. They're both currently working on divorces. And when they're done, apparently they are actually going to get married to each other. They're also going to sue ABC News for taking them off TV because after the allegations of the affair and then the allegations were proven to be pretty true, and then all the other nasty stuff popped up, they've been taken off the TV. And so they're going to sue their employer for taking them off the TV, which people do. But you can follow the tales of Mr. Holmes and Ms. Robach, or Miss Robach Holmes, maybe soon. Robach Shoe Holmes, I guess, as this soap opera continues. And finally, it's something that we all may need a little bit of because we all are dealing with the stress of stuff, especially something like today's batch of headlines, which is apparently killing me in the process. Fall Out Boy's Joe Trohman breaks from band. Quote, my mental health has rapidly deteriorated. Joe Trohman announced on social media Wednesday that he would be stepping away from Fall Out Boy to work on his mental health. The band also announced the release of their 8th album, So Much for Stardust, around the same time. But Trohman's going to back away from promotions and hitting the road, obviously, because he's a bit knocked back. The Fall Out Boy wrapped up the Hella Mega Tour and performed at iHeart's annual Alter Ego concert. They released the first single off the upcoming album, Love from the Other Side. It's there. But for a little bit, they're going to take a break because without one of their major bandmates, they're going to, not have the power to promote and to produce and to perform. We're definitely pushing for Joe to get back on the road. Great. I love Fall Out Boy. Great music. And the band itself has a great story behind them. But mental health, if any year, if any time, if any moment in life it were to focus on mental health, 2023 needs to be a year to focus on mental health. I've even put in some time to focus on mental health, and I intend to actually put in the time to focus on it. But this is something you can't back away from. Some people don't have the luxury to back away from a multi-million-dollar concert tour to take care of themselves. But if you do, if you have the backing, you have people behind you, you should take that time anytime it's available. So let's do the teaser right now, get into that, and go into the wrap up for the show because this has apparently been pretty drastic on the day. Legendary chef Alice Waters, absolutely ready to go electric on stoves. The electric stove controversy is a thing. People are all up in a tizzy about their electric stoves, or more or less giving up their gas stoves because people say they're bad for the environment, but they're great for cooking. Great chefs are saying no. This great chef is saying yes. Will we talk about this one come Monday? You be the judge. You let me know if we're talking about this one Monday or what exactly we will be talking about come Monday by simply going to our feeds and telling us what to talk about. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/This Is the Conversation Project and twitter.com/th_conversation. And as you see news stories being posted every 50 minutes, you just simply like them, love them, hate them, share them, be engaging with the stories. The more engaging the story gets, the higher score it gets. We will take the top 30 stories from the weekend and give you 10 of them in a program just like this one. Same name, same place, same feed, but hopefully much better read and a whole lot more entertaining because today has been subpar, and I'll say that off the top of the bat. But we'll do that for you next week, come Monday, with a show just like this one. Top 10 stories from the weekend. Is this story going to make the cut? Only you can decide. Making the cut today is our big sponsor for today. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/sponsors for many of our major sponsors and find one that will love you as much as you love them and love us back by us bringing you to them. Today we're talking about Robinhood. Very quickly, Robinhood is a app that allows you to trade stuff online. Yada yada yada. Got that? You know that. You've heard of Robinhood. It's basically the OG of the stock trading apps. It's still out there. It's still kicking it. It hasn't lost ground yet. And even though things have not been so great for the markets and Robinhood is doing everything it can to make you money and make you a smart investor in the process, not just jumping on GameStop because everybody's buying it. You can do your regular buying and selling of bonds, stocks, and all those things. You can have things where you can buy your crypto. I suggest not, but you can buy crypto. They offer up opportunities for IPOs. So when people want to go public, you get a first shot at their IPOs. They're offering up ways for the stock you own to make money for you by letting people borrow it in their stock prices. Little ways there. They have one of the largest interest rates for their savings accounts and their accounts for people to invest their money. So if you want to put some money away, you can make money on it. Those are lots of ways to make money from Robinhood, including off the free stock you get for signing up. Go to our affiliate link at this. It's a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. Today, not tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Today, get your free stock. Get in there. Just you don't have to put in a bunch of money. Just see how the world of investing works via Robinhood. See how the world of just stuff in general works with us at the Conversation Project at our website, which is this is a conversationproject.com. Go to our website and visit us. Have fun. Have a blast, if you will. We have plenty of things there for you to see and do, if you will. Plenty of other programs, most of them pre-recorded, so there's less of the rambly stuff. Most of them fairly well written, so there's less of the rambly stuff. Most of them actually pretty good and less of the rambly stuff. Check out the full listing of programmings, plus list to our sponsors and our partnerships page. Today may not be the day you really think we're good enough to partner with, but today may be the day that you think we really need partnerships. So check it out today as well. We want you to enjoy all the things we do with our mission to bring in great people for great conversations around the world. And we're glad to have you along to do that. Now, the fun stuff, the things that you have painfully suffered through, birthdays for today things, starting off with Rainn Wilson turning 57 years old today, and birthday twins Kellyanne Conway and Stacey Dash, both turning 56 years old. Both turning 56 years old. Now, I have a Stacey Dash source. I had a long-standing crush on Stacey Dash since back in Clueless days, and that's partially because I had a long-standing habit of dating fairly crazy people, and Stacey Dash turns out to be fairly crazy. Kellyanne Conway, not going to note on her personality, just knows that, the life that she lives, which should have been pretty dull and boring, turned really rather crazy with the nomination and the election and the whole time we had with Donald Trump, her being Donald Trump's favorite talking point and the lady who put her feet on the couch. Yeah, we still remember that one. Rainn Wilson, you're being outshined by those two ladies, and I'm sorry. Today is Cheese Lovers Day, and I believe that cheese will be served at the Payne household. I believe there shall be cheese dip and chips to celebrate on this Cheese Lovers Day. Go get you some cheese, whether it's string cheese, whether it's sliced cheese, whether it's cheese whiz, whether it's a big old block of cheese. Go get you some cheese. Wine is optional. Cheese is a love of the day. One more thing you might not have heard. There are lots of reasons not to eat at your desk. Messy fingers, crumb the keyboard, but the real reason has less to do with cleanliness and more to do with your eating habits. If you're making a resolution to shed a few pounds this year, couple it with the pledge to keep food away from your workspace. Researchers say regularly eating at your desk can force you to develop a habit as your brain begins to associate working with eating. After a while, you'll find yourself craving snacks as you sit down to work, consuming extra calories along the way. Making the pledge to keep eating in the kitchen or dining room and away from the desk helps to remove your mind's association from food with working at your desk or playing games. The same goes for eating in front of the TV. If you do it often, it becomes an unhealthy habit. We all know that. We know the eating from the TV thing is a thing. And so now they're correlating, which should be obvious, eating at your desk. However, most of us still eat at our desk, as I do, as every day I come in there, I have to knock crumbs out of my keyboards, whether here or at work. It becomes a habit of circumstance. It becomes just the way that we are. We're always working. We're always, at our desk, always trying to knock things out. And we think we save a little time and energy by picking up a snack or a whole cheeseburger and fries while you're sitting at your desk trying to work on your TPS reports. These reports say that it's bad for your health because it brings in habits that you just stop to saying, oh, it's lunchtime. Let me go grab my lunch and eat while I type, as opposed to, oh, it's 12:18. Oh, it's 12:19. Oh, it's 1:17. Oh, it's 1:37. And you're just grabbing snacks because you sit down and you think, I should have a snack. it's a ritual. It's like coffee for me. I basically have coffee nearby while I'm working because it's a ritual, and I've refilled my cup around the halfway mark because it's the ritual of coffee. It's not so much the coffee part, although I love the coffee, but it's the ritual. The ritual of eating around your desk while you're working becomes a ritual that turns into an unhealthy habit that you might want to break right now. Right now, we're going to break the unhealthy habit of us doing this show because it's been a crazy one. Actually, at least I got the Chiron right for the ending. Friday, January 20th, 2023. Thank you guys for being with us for this show. Sometimes it's a labor of labor. It's always a labor of love. And sometimes it's a slog to get it through. And today it was a slog. I have to be honest with that one. You got to do that. When I re-listen to this one, when I watch this back for my air checks, I'm going to be pretty disappointed in myself, but I'm going to be happy I got it done. And, you know, one bad show out the way means there's more room for better shows to go forward. So I'm going to quickly wrap this thing up today. Stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. Make sure you turn the right buttons so you don't get the burps on the air. Make sure you get enough rest and sleep and plan for things. Make sure you give it a shot. No matter how rough, how bad, how terrible you think it turned out, give it a shot because you'll learn something from it. Many lessons learned today. Hopefully, they'll be applied for a Monday show, which has to be infinite times better than what we performed today. Thank you so much for sticking with us today because we need all the love that we can take and your support for sponsorships and partnerships. Had to throw that out there as well. Right now, we're going to wrap it up. Let's have a great Friday. Let's have a great week. Let's get lots of cheese in us this weekend because that's what it's all about. And we'll do this again, hopefully much better come Monday.